Hello everyone! The Burning Legion has invaded Azeroth once again, and Paladins, they're able to pick up 3 different artifacts to empower them in this war. For Holy Paladins, it's the Silver Hand. A secret order of Paladins has been watching over the resting place of the great Title Watcher tier for hundreds of years. Histories tell that this powerful warhammer was buried there with him. Now recent events, like warriors and shadow priests going into the tomb to claim these artifacts, it has threatened the safety of their sacred charge, and they have appealed for help from Paladins across Azeroth. We meet up with Travart, a member of the Tyr's Guard, who has spent centuries guarding and keeping the Tomb of Tyr a secret. We must reclaim the Silver Hand before those with evil intent can seize it, and to free it from its wards, we need relics called the Sparks of Tyr. Travart has one in his possession, as does his brother Gelford, who has journeyed to Northrend to seek aid from Tyr's homeland, but he is not returned yet. We go out in search of his brother, as well as the Spark, and as we go through the quest, I'll talk a little bit more about Tyr and the history behind the Silver Hand.
My brother spoke of a dragon called Lanagosa at Wormrest Temple. Seek her out while I prepare a strike force for the tomb.
Long ago, the legendary Titans crafted stone and iron-skinned giants to make war on the old gods and free Azeroth from their oppressive will. The giants were led by beings known as the Keepers, and the mightiest of these commanders was named Tyr. Armed with an immense hammer, Tyr helped his kin break the strength of the old gods and their dark armies. Together, they forged a glorious new destiny for Azeroth. Tyr was a warrior without equal, but his greatest trait was his conviction. He never gave up. He never strayed from his Titan-bestowed quests. The mere sight of his argent hammer on the battlefield, it inspired courage in everyone who fought at his side. As great as a warrior Tyr was, he did not always escape his battle unharmed. An example of this was his confrontation with the monstrous proto-dragon named Galakrond. Countless years after the Keepers defeated the old gods and imprisoned them beneath the earth, Galakrond emerged to rule the skies of the world. A fierce hunger compelled the proto-dragon to eat everything in his path, including his own kind. When Tyr learned about the creature, he feared that Galakrond would soon devour all nature. He gathered 5 other proto-dragons to join him in this war against the beast. Though the 5 proto-dragons would eventually vanquish Galakrond, their initial attacks on him went poorly. Tyr's new allies, they did not always work together, and even when they did, Galakrond proved too mighty for the combined strength of the Keeper and the proto-dragons. In one battle, Tyr himself grappled with Galakrond and he pummeled the beast with his hammer. The blows had little effect, Tyr's weapon was knocked from his grasp, and Galakrond consumed the Keeper's hand. Only with the help of his 5 winged allies did Tyr escape that battle with his life. These 5 winged allies would eventually figure out a way to overcome Galakrond. They were empowered and they became the dragon aspects. The blue dragon Lanagosa, she told Gelford many stories about Titan Keeper Tyr, like the one where he battled with Galakrond. She also told him that Caligo saw Tyr's severed hand at Galakrond's rest. Gelford got very excited about this and he left to check it out, so we trace his steps.
Galakrond's rest can be dangerous. Perhaps a tracking spell will be of use. There, a bit of magic to help you follow in Gelford's footsteps. Good luck!
Your friend came seeking answers. His mind flooded by memories stored in the spark of the noble Watcher. He learned of Tyr's ancient battle against Galakrond, and of the hand he lost in the dragon's maw.
This friendly Tonka spirit is speculated to be Bunic, a Tonka that showed up in the comic Warcraft Legends Volume 3. She was on a quest to gain a relic which would prove herself worthy of Akiak, a quest that would sadly prove too much. Akiak found her body next to the massive remains of Galakrond, impaled by the spear of a Magnetor. Now a similar vision showed up in the novel Dawn of the Aspects, that is where Kalagos saw the severed hand, and in that book Jaina figured that the image shown, it could be Tyr in disguise, but considering that we now once again see this female Tauren, it could also very well be Bunic. Either way, the spear tells us what happened next.
A silver hand was forged by Yoton, Tyr's dearest friend for many ages. When Tyr found proof of Loken's betrayal, it was Yoton who stayed behind to hold off the fallen Watcher's pursuit.
Keeper Tyr worked with a giant named Yoton to replace his missing hand. They mined a vein of pure silver deep within Azeroth. Yoton used this metal to forge a hand for his injured companion. Tyr was in awe of Yoton's craftsmanship, and he asked the giant for one final favor: to reforge his warhammer so that it would incorporate the image of this new hand. The giant did as he asked, but he inquired why the keeper wanted to draw more attention to this wound. Tyr replied that he did not consider his missing hand a reminder of defeat. For him, it was a symbol of the sacrifice he had made to defend Azeroth, and he wanted the world to see that as well. When Yoton finished reshaping the hammer, Tyr named his weapon the Silver Hand.
Your friend sought out Yoton, but the spark did not warn him of the cruel curse with which Loken twisted the Watcher's mind. The Paladin rushed to the chasm south of here, only to meet his doom.
As the ages passed on Azeroth, the unity between Tyr and his fellow keepers crumbled. Keeper Loken fell under the sway of the imprisoned old god Yogg-Saron, and the once noble giant turned on his kin. This betrayal ignited chaos amongst the Irven, Vrykul, and the other Titanforge creatures who served the keepers. Only Tyr and a handful of his closest allies eluded Loken's wrath. Though they planned to strike down the corrupted keeper, they first needed to find a refuge for the Irven and their other innocent servants. Tyr rallied the Titanforge to his side, and they ventured south in search of a place they would save from Loken's reach. The journey was harsh, and many of the Titanforge worried about the future. Only the sight of Tyr leading their way, his legendary hammer always in hand, it gave them the hope that they needed to continue.
I've been looking all over for you. Have you found... Oh no. I am truly sorry. It looks as though your friend was crushed. What could have...
Leave this place! Loken's curse compels me to slay the allies of Tyr. Until he comes to collect Tyr's spark, I must defend it!
Nearly all of Tyr's followers traveled south, but not Yoton. Inspired by the Keeper's ideals of personal sacrifice, the giant stayed behind to distract Loken and help mask his allies' escape. Yoton succeeded, but he was punished for his heroics. When Loken learned that many of the Titanforge had fled south, he captured Yoton and he twisted his mind. The cursed giant was forced to search the land surrounding Ulduar and destroy Tyr, anything that symbolized his power, and anyone who followed his ideals. As his first act, Yoton shattered the anvil that he had used to craft Tyr's hand and reshape his warhammer.
You leave me no choice! I must destroy you! The pain, it frees my mind of the curse. For the moment. Loken's enchantment won't let me die. We have only a moment before I fall into madness again. Here is the spark. Take it and flee. Keep the memory of my fallen friend alive.
We smack some sense back into Yoton, but sadly, his curse will live on. Not much that we can do about it at the moment, nor can we do much for Galford anymore, but we did retrieve the spark, which means that we get to go into the tomb, do a ritual, and claim the weapon.
If you desire, I can take you back to your city in the sky. I will return later for Galford's remains.
Loken awakened two of the old god's most powerful generals, and he sent them after Tyr. These enormous creatures were called the Kafraxi. They stormed south and they caught up with Tyr and the Titanforge refuge in the land that we now know as Tyr's Fall, or as the Vrykul called it, Tyr's Fall. Tyr stood against the Kafraxi alone. It would be his final and greatest hour. He called upon all the lessons he had learned in battle. He wielded the silver hand as if it were an extension of his own body. The Kafraxi slashed at his metal hide, but Tyr's hammer shielded him in holy power and it mended his wounds. The battle dragged on for days, with neither the Keeper nor his enemies giving any ground. Tyr knew that there was only one way to secure the safety of his allies. He unleashed his immense power, igniting an explosion of arcane magic that blasted a massive crater in the earth. Tyr and one of his foes were killed instantly, the other on the verge of death that one retreated from the battle site. Now after Tyr's sacrifice, his allies came back, they saw what had happened, they entombed the fallen Keeper and the dead Kafraxi where they lay. None of the Titanforge felt worthy enough to take up their leader's hammer, and they buried it with his corpse. Tyr's followers then enchanted the tomb with protective wards. They bound the silver hand to these magical seals, thereby preventing anyone from touching it in the future. Of all the Titanforge who had come south, the Vrykul, they were the most moved by what Tyr had done to protect them. They decided to stay in the region and stand vigil over the Keeper's tomb. At At some point in Azeroth's distant past, humanity emerged in Tirisfal Glades. The iron-skinned Vraiku who lived there slowly died off, and many of them suffered from the curse of flesh, a strange malady that transformed them into creatures of flesh and blood. Yet one group of Vraiku lasted longer than the others. They formed a secretive group called Tyr's Guard to protect Keeper Tyr's tomb. The Vraiku of this order, they knew that they would not live forever, and so they induced some of the fledgling humans into their ranks. The Vraiku taught the human members of the Tyr's Guard the history of the fallen Keeper, his tenets of self-sacrifice and justice, and the truth of what lay within the tomb. Now in the ancient days, the only humans ever to breach Tyr's tomb and bypass his protectors, they were following the legendary human King Thoradin. After the elderly ruler abdicated his throne, he became obsessed with his race's history. Thoradin's curiosity, it eventually led him to discover Tyr's final resting place. When Thoradin arrived at the tomb, Tyr's guard confronted him. A tense standoff ensued. The former king was accompanied by powerful guards and learned sorcerers. Though the members of Tyr's guard did not want them to disturb the gravesite, they also did not want bloodshed. Thoradin and his followers, they forced their way past Tyr's guard. Much of what happened next is shrouded in rumor. It is said that Thoradin and his followers, they ventured into the darkened catacombs and they were never seen again. The members of the Tyr's guard knew that Thoradin's magi had broken the tomb's wards in their foolish quest to explore the gravesite. The Order's members made a vow that day that they would not enter the catacombs again, for fear that further meddling, that it could awaken the Kefraxi buried inside and unleash its evil on the world. For thousands of years, Tyr's Guard continued their sacred duty. New members came and went, and over time they adopted more techniques to help them protect the tomb. In particular, the defenders felt an affinity towards paladins, holy warriors who arose to battle the Orcish horde in the Second War. The members of Tyr's Guard, they learned how to wield the holy light, and they became mighty paladins. Yet even this newfound power, it could not save the Order from the undead scourge. When the scourge swept over the human kingdom of Lordaeron, the Tyr's Guard crumbled. Only a few brave members, led by paladin named Travart, they remained to uphold their ancient vows.
Ah, there you are. The area was secured at great cost. This cannot continue. We must retrieve the Silver Hand and destroy the entrance to the tomb. I will complete the ritual to release the hammer and collapse the tomb. But we must be quick. I can sense evil emanating from the tomb. Just a brief swim, and we'll reach the tomb. Behold! The Tomb of Tyr, built by the mighty... Wait. These monsters dare befoul the tomb! This cannot stand! Destroy these abominations!
Notice, by the way, how the Faceless One is now called Masterless. A nice touch to show that the events with the warriors and the priests, that they did happen, and that the tomb no longer holds the body of the Kefraxi. That doesn't mean that it's empty and completely safe, since other creatures of the void, they have found a way into our reality.
It pains me to see such destruction threaten the resting place of the Silver Hand. Look there! The Sacred Hammer's wards remain strong. First, we must purge this infestation. Let me know when you are ready. Well done, everyone. Let's... Wait! What is that? At last, we can begin. After the ritual is complete, and we have the hammer, the complex will collapse, sealing Tyr's resting place forever. Something is wrong. One of the other sparks isn't here. Wait. I can sense it below. Probably taken by one of those monsters. We must have it. We will begin the search when you are ready, champion. This chasm oozes darkness. Light protect us. That thing has what we need. Prepare yourselves, friends! No! They are gone! The last of my brothers and sisters. I am all that remains of the Tyr's guard. I have the spark. The battle this place has seen has warped reality too much. We must finish this now. We have wounded! Aid them while I cover you!
I've been
The
expecting.
Naru have not forgotten us.
Life to consume.
Hello. How are you?
A dark presence emerges from the void. Something big. We need to move
Hello?
now. Excellent. And with no time to waste, let's move. Everything is in place for me to complete the ritual. All of you, defend the tunnel.
The void. Inevitable.
That thing is too powerful. Focus on staying alive and keep it at bay. For just a few more moments. Stay strong! It is done. Quickly, take up the hammer. In so doing, you will ensure Tyr's remains are protected for all time. We have the hammer! Everyone run! The tomb is collapsing!
Your escape means nothing. We'll find you again.
Apologies for the hasty retreat. The tomb's collapse was triggered by the hammer's removal. Though his halls are no more, Tyr is now protected by several tons of stone and water. The prison is buried as well. I can think of no one better to hold the silver hand. Wield it well. Return to Tyrosus and tell him of our success. We will meet again.
We barely escaped the tomb alive, and Mordor the Hunter didn't seem at all impressed with the tomb collapsing in on him. Considering how powerful these creatures of the Void can be, I personally can't wait to see for the moment where the story will dive deeper into the Void Lords and what their reality might be like. For now though, we've obtained the Silver Hand, and with it, Paladins will continue their adventures through the Broken Isles and the war against the Legion. Tyr can hopefully enjoy his eternal slumber once again, and hopefully in the future we'll deal with Mordor the Hunter and the Void that's attached to it. For now though, thank you very much for watching everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time guys, see ya!